Imagine a vessel so immense that it dwarfs the Eiffel Tower, a floating behemoth stretching over 458 meters in length. Standing at one end of this ship, the other side seems to vanish into the horizon, creating a perspective that defies human scale. This was the Seawise Giant, a masterpiece of engineering that redefined what we thought was possible for a man-made object to achieve. It was not designed for the luxury of cruise passengers, but as the ultimate supertanker built to transport crude oil across vast oceans. During the 1970s, the global shipping industry operated on a simple, bold principle: that bigger was always better for maximizing economic returns. The Seawise Giant became the physical embodiment of that era's ambition, standing as the undisputed champion of the maritime world for years. Its sheer scale was truly overwhelming, functioning more like a floating city than a traditional ship navigating the deep blue ocean waters. With a capacity to carry over 500,000 tons of cargo, it was a staggering feat of industrial design and raw power. To put that capacity into perspective, it could hold enough oil to fill the fuel tanks of millions of cars simultaneously. This massive volume allowed the ship to transport energy more efficiently than any other vessel, reducing the number of required voyages. However, this incredible size came with significant logistical challenges that would soon test the absolute limits of global maritime infrastructure. The vessel was so incredibly long and deep that it simply could not navigate through the world's most vital shipping arteries. It was far too wide and deep to pass through the Panama Canal, which acts as a shortcut between the Atlantic and Pacific. Similarly, the Suez Canal, a critical gateway for global trade, was completely off-limits to a ship of such immense physical dimensions. Many of the world's major harbors were simply too shallow to accommodate its draft, which reached over 24 meters when fully loaded. That depth is roughly equivalent to the height of an 8-story building submerged entirely beneath the surface of the dark water. Because it could not enter typical ports, the ship had to rely on specialized offshore terminals to offload its massive oil cargo. This forced the shipping industry to adapt its entire logistical network just to support the existence of this single, gargantuan vessel. The world was not built for a ship of this magnitude, yet the Seawise Giant continued to sail, defying conventional maritime limitations. Its story took a dramatic and unexpected turn during the 1980s, when it found itself caught in the middle of regional conflict. While anchored in the Middle East, the ship was heavily damaged, leading many to believe that its long journey had finally ended. But the Giant was far more resilient than anyone anticipated, proving that its construction was as sturdy as it was massive. After significant repairs, the ship returned to service, continuing to traverse the oceans and proving its worth to the shipping industry. Renamed several times throughout its long life, it remained a legendary presence on the high seas for many decades to come. For a ship of such extreme size, the act of survival itself became a central part of its enduring and fascinating legend. The crew relied on extreme teamwork, mathematical precision, and years of experience to manage the ship's massive, heavy systems. Handling a giant like this required absolute focus, as even the simplest tasks became significantly more challenging on such a scale. Every maneuver, from changing course to docking, had to be calculated with extreme care to avoid any potential accidents or delays. You might naturally wonder, if bigger ships save so much money, why do we not build even larger ones today? The answer lies in the harsh reality of practicality, as ports, canals, and shipping routes have very strict physical limits. A ship must always fit the existing world infrastructure, and there is a point where size becomes a liability rather than an asset. Modern shipbuilders now focus on balancing total size with operational efficiency, ensuring that ships remain flexible for global trade routes. Sometimes, being the biggest is simply not the smartest solution when you consider the costs of navigating restricted global waterways. The Seawise Giant pushed the boundaries of engineering to their absolute limit, showing us exactly where those physical barriers begin. The Seawise Giant was not just the largest ship ever built, It was a powerful symbol of human ambition and industrial drive. Longer than 4 football fields, it was a testament to what happens when we refuse to accept the status quo of design. Capable of carrying hundreds of thousands of tons, it moved resources across the planet in ways that were previously thought impossible. It proved that humans could build something truly extraordinary, even if the world itself was not quite ready for such scale. And even today, decades after its prime, no other ship has managed to surpass the records set by this floating titan. The next time you see a large ship crossing the horizon, take a moment to consider the sheer scale of maritime engineering. Remember that somewhere in history a giant sailed the seas, so massive that the world had to make way for it. It remains a fascinating case study in how we define the limits of our technology and our capacity for grand construction. The legacy of the Seawise Giant continues to inspire engineers and ship enthusiasts who look back at its record-breaking career. It stands as a unique chapter in the history of transportation, a story of a machine that was simply ahead of its time. While modern vessels have become more efficient and technologically advanced, none have captured the imagination quite like this giant did. Its presence on the water was a sight to behold, a moving mountain of steel that commanded respect from all who saw it. The challenges it faced, from the canals it could not cross to the ports it could not enter, defined its unique identity. It was a ship that forced the world to look at its own infrastructure and question if it was truly prepared for the future. As we continue to build and innovate, we look back at the Seawise Giant as a benchmark for what we can achieve. It taught us that there is a delicate balance between the desire for scale and the necessity of practical, everyday utility. It will always be remembered as the ship that challenged the world, proving that we can dream big and build even bigger. Though it is gone, its record stands tall, a permanent reminder of the day when a ship truly became a floating legend. The life of the Seawise Giant was as dramatic as its dimensions, marked by survival through conflict and multiple renamings throughout its storied career. Operating such a massive object required immense precision from a relatively small crew, who lived for months at a time within this moving giant. Life on board was a study in isolation, where a handful of sailors managed systems that powered a vessel of truly unprecedented, gargantuan proportions. Today, no ship has surpassed its record, largely because modern builders prioritize balancing size with the constraints of global ports and shipping routes. The Seawise Giant remains an iconic symbol of human ingenuity, reminding us that even the most massive creations must eventually find their place. The legacy of this behemoth continues to influence naval architecture, serving as a cautionary tale about the delicate balance between ambition and infrastructure.